This is a case where predicting the question can help us because, the more we practice, the better we get at knowing the different types of questions. And we can see here the answer choices are transition words. So we would know, okay, well, it's probably about transitions, and we know that transition questions are really about the ideas. But there's a quirk here, right? Normally when we have transition questions, the transition word is at the beginning of the sentence. Here it's kind of interrupting things, but that doesn't really change the strategy. If we know it's a transition question, we know that we need to read the sentence before the transition and the sentence that includes the transition, right? So that means we're reading this anyway, even though the transition word is buried a little bit further away from that sentence. So it's this one and this one, the only two sentences I gave you. One other thing that could help, I don't think it's going to work all the time, but it's worth a shot, is where we put the transition is kind of a choice. And so in this case, we're interrupting the second sentence, but it's still functioning as if it were at the beginning of that sentence. So it's an extra clause that we were able to play with and move around a little bit, but it's still functioning the same way to kind of connect the previous sentence to this one. So if it helps you, when you read it or think about it, you can kind of move that transition to the beginning of the sentence. Like I said, this won't always work. There are definitely going to be cases where the transition word is really more about just the sentence that it's in. But in this case, that's how it's working. And again, it's worth a shot. So let's try to think about the relationship between these. Let's maybe use some dumb summaries to help us. First sentence. Enterprising freelance reporters, newly funded by nonprofits, make extensive use of social media, including blogs and Twitter, to foster a public conversation about key issues. So this sounds like a very positive idea about what reporters are doing. Okay, very, very basic. Second sentence. The Help Me Investigate project solicited readers to submit tips and information related to ongoing stories to its website. So, okay, they're talking about using social media and engaging with the public. And now we have this specific example that's getting people to submit tips to the website. So this is also positive, right? It's saying something very positive. So that maybe gets rid of something like see, however, which is more of a contrast but word. In any case, doesn't really do anything. That's kind of what I say when I'm talking to my friends when I'm just like changing the subject, right? In any case, you're just moving on to the next thing. So that is kind of random. Maybe you don't have a strong feeling about what that means, but we can see here, that the first part is kind of a setup, and then the second thing is literally naming a specific project that does the thing they just talked about. It's an example. So it matches with kind of our dumb reading of what's going on. It's not a therefore. It's not like this Help Me Investigate project is doing this because of, I don't even know what here, because of enterprising freelance reporters. They're not doing it because of them. They are them. They are the enterprising freelance reporters. So it's an example. Hopefully that makes sense, but I think, for me, the key piece is this is a classic SAT move, right? They take a question type that you're very familiar with. They do this in the math section too, and then they just twist it ever so slightly so that it's harder to recognize or that you second guess yourself. But the more practice you do, the more confident you'll be predicting the question, knowing what the rules are or the topic is, even when they twist it up. And so getting back to that common, the normal format can help you solve something that looks different but isn't actually different. This is a transition question, just like we've handled all the other ones in this test. Dumb summaries, think about what the words mean in dumb terms, and you should be fine.